Welcome back to another episode of 4Expedition Adventurer. In this episode, we venture out into the great unknown without boundaries of time or space. Join me on an amazing journey of freedom and intuition and explore beautiful landscapes along the way. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of 4Expedition Adventure. I'm Scott Leuthold. Today I'm coming to you from nowhere, somewhere, and everywhere. And pretty much I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll have a lot more commentary during the video, so stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to 4Expedition Adventure, I encourage you to do that. If you'd like to be notified of upcoming videos, be sure to click the notification button. And if you'd like to support 4Expedition, go to patreon.com/4Expedition. Your support goes a long way to creating quality content for this channel. I really look forward to sharing this episode with you, so sit back and enjoy the ride. Hey everybody, got a question for you. Have you ever had so much freedom where you knew you wanted to go out of town, you wanted to take a road trip, something like that? You had no idea where you wanted to go. You just knew that you wanted to go. And so you just loaded up the car, stopped along at a grocery store on the way out of town with a cooler and just did a little grocery shopping, not knowing how long you're going to be gone, just buy a couple days worth of food, and just hit the road. And literally, when you pull out of your driveway, not having any idea whether you're going to turn right or left as you left your neighborhood and just got on a highway and started heading in some direction. You thought maybe, well, I might want to go up into the mountains and see what the snow's like this time of the year. Or maybe I want to stay somewhere in a warmer atmosphere. If you live somewhere like I do, you have a choice of going up into the mountains, into the snow, or staying down in the desert and, doing some camping in the desert, whereas, at night it's going to be chilly. It's probably going to be in the 30s in the desert. During the day it'll be in the 60s, maybe up as high as the 70s, but that's what I'm doing. I literally decided today that I wanted to get in the car and head out, take a little vacation. No idea how many days I'm going to be gone. Maybe come back on Sunday, maybe Monday. Today is Wednesday. Actually, today's Thursday. So maybe a 4-day, maybe a 5-day. I brought my laptop with me so I can do my work on the road. But again, I don't have any clue whatsoever as to what direction I'm going to turn. So I just left Scottsdale. I'm heading up a road called Shea Blvd up into Fountain Hills, Arizona, which is just in the mountains outside of Scottsdale. And then from there, I don't know. I might turn right on the Beeline Highway, which is Highway 87, and head down toward Mesa and then down toward southern Arizona. Or maybe I'll head north. I'm not sure. I'll make that decision as we go, but I'm going to have you ride along with me on that kind of an experience. I have, again, no clue where I'm going to go. I've got all my gear packed for exploring the mountains and the snow. I also have my gear along for doing some hiking in the mountains and the desert, so we'll see. But at this point, I'm just driving. I've got a full tank of gas, I've got a cooler full of food, and I've got all my gear that I could possibly need. The only thing I didn't bring that I kind of wish I would have brought was my my stand-up paddleboard, in case I ended up on a lake somewhere and maybe I wanted to do a little paddleboarding. But I did bring my Max Tracks just in case I get into some muddy areas and whatnot. But overall, I'm just driving. And when I get to a T in the road, I have to make a decision left or right, and there is a T in the road up ahead, maybe about 2 miles from here. So we'll see where we go. All right, so stop one, I'm in Fountain Hills, Arizona, and just up the road a little bit further, there's a T in the road that goes either south or north. But before I'm doing that, I decided I need to stop at Target because I forgot a pillow. Okay, so it looks like I got myself a nice little pillow. I was actually quite surprised. I was in there and found this camp pillow by a company called Wenzel. And I think this thing was like $6.99. You'd buy a pillow like this at REI, it would cost a lot more money. But it comes in this nice little carrying bag. You open it up. Pretty nice little pillow, actually. I can put a couple of things underneath this to bulk it up a little bit more when I'm sleeping. And then while I was in there, I went ahead and bought myself another roll of Gorilla Tape. If you don't have Gorilla Tape, definitely get yourself some of that. And then I noticed that my cast iron pan was really rusty, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on that and get it refurbished. But in the meantime, I bought myself a non-stick titanium, copper, and ceramic pan. So I'll put that in my camping kitchen. So we're coming up on that T in the road on Shea Boulevard heading east toward the Beeline Highway, and now I have to make a decision whether I'm going to go right or left. Boom, boom. Looks like we're heading north. Straight ahead of me there, you can see there's Four Peaks Mountain, and a couple of those peaks actually have snow on them. I have considered maybe running up there on the back side. The front side's a really long, rough road. A couple of years ago, I spoke a couple times at Overland Expo, and what I talked on was basically how to become self-reliant in the modern world. Now, when you look up self-reliance online or watch YouTube videos, most of what you're going to see has to do with bushcraft, and that's all great. I mean, I think learning bushcraft skills is absolutely necessary if you want to become very self-sufficient, but I know a lot of people who actually live off the grid. In fact, I know one gentleman who lives completely off-grid in a GP medium army tent up in Alaska, and I know for a fact that he still has to depend on society to some extent. So he comes into town probably once a week. He still has to buy a few provisions. He still has to rely on the medical system. So there's a lot of things that even people who truly want to live off the grid still have to rely on having to do with society. So my belief is that becoming self-reliant in a modern world means that you take the things that you know, what I call information assets, and you leverage those online to make money, and allows you to be very mobile. You don't have to be stuck in one place, and you're able to generate a revenue stream and be able to live kind of the life that you really want to live while making money. Taking your work with you and balancing your work and play in that kind of a scenario. Here we go. It's a beautiful drive back here. It's probably going to be almost dark by the time I get to Roosevelt Lake, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to share the beauty of this lake with you, but it's one of the larger lakes in central Arizona. So I stopped off at a little place called the Tonto Basin Marketplace to fill up, just top off my gas, but I also decided to fill up my Rotopax gas can because it was also empty. You always want to make sure that if you have extra fuel canisters that you fill them up before you head off road for any distance, especially if you're going by yourself. You want to make sure that you have all the right tools, you have plenty of gas, and you have spare tire, you have all the things that you would need, first aid, whatnot, to be able to take care of yourself if you're out there in the middle of nowhere and you're completely alone. So I've taken care of most of those things, and I've got all my checks and balances that I go through before I leave, other than the pillow that I forgot, but that's not a survival piece of equipment. So anyway, got plenty of gas now, and I think I might head up to the backside of Four Peaks and spend some time there, maybe do a hike in the morning as I mentioned. All right, so we have arrived. I found a really nice spot up here in the horse trailer parking with just a phenomenal view of the city and the setting sun over in the west, and then over in the east overlooking the Sierra Ancha Mountains, the Tonto Basin, and Roosevelt Lake. So I should have a beautiful sunrise over here, and I still have a really nice little sunset over here and beautiful city lights all night long. So once I got up here and started taking things out of my car to set up a sleeping system, I realized that not only had I forgot my pillow, but I also forgot my inflatable sleeping mat. So that totally sucks. However, what's really awesome, and if you watch my videos before, you know this, that my spare tire carrier area is full of gear that I sometimes use, not always. And it's a great place to store extra stuff. And I realized once I'd started digging down through my spare tire carrier area that I have an entire Lunar Life sleeping system, which is made specifically for the rear of a Subaru Outback. And it's really cool. It inflates either as a full double that takes up the entire back of the Subaru, or you can inflate only half of it and make a twin size. And then it's got these really awesome inflatable blocks that go on the floor of the rear passenger floor area where you put your feet, and it levels things off, and it really allows for almost a 6-foot tall person. So I'm going to sleep inside the vehicle tonight. Temperatures are probably supposed to drop to somewhere in the 30s. No reason for me to put up the rooftop tent, frankly. I'm only staying overnight. I'll be hiking tomorrow and heading out of here. So I'm really excited that I actually do have an inflatable mattress, and I'll be sleeping inside the vehicle tonight, and I'm sure it'll be totally toasty and cozy and warm, and I'm really looking forward to that. All right, so we got the Lunar Life filled up. Again, this is only half of it. The other half is folded underneath, and it can be inflated separately, but they're attached. And what you'll notice is up here on this side, it actually juts around the wheel well and out. And then underneath the head part, which is actually suspended over the floor, I've got an inflatable block that keeps this totally level. And as you can see, come back here, I mean, it's literally all the way to the very tail of the vehicle. So I'm gonna have a very nice, comfortable sleeping space in there tonight. And I've got some Lunar Life LED lights that I'm gonna string up, and it'll just be a really nice experience. Well, here we are. Got myself a little minestrone soup and some pre-cooked shredded chicken, and just a big glass of water, and some spicy beef jerky. Should pretty much do the trick for this evening. Nice and cold out, so it's probably going to be a nice toasty meal. All right, well, I've settled into the Subaru for the evening. This Lunar Life air mattress turned out to be pretty nice. I actually laid some blankets down on top of it that I had along because, you know, usually when the air is really cold, the air inside the air mattress will get really cold, and that transfers into your body, and for me, I don't sleep very well when I'm sleeping on a cold air mattress. So put the blankets down and then put my really nice sleeping bag on top of that, and it should be pretty toasty warm in here. It's kind of a nice experience to sleep inside the Subaru sometimes, especially if it's windy and you're really exposed and it's going to drop into the 30s. The rooftop tent can be pretty cold. But in here, it's nice and toasty warm. And I've got some nice LED lighting by Lunar Life, some string lights up here on the ceiling. And then I've got some LED floodlights that I lay inside here face down on my clear storage containers. And I lay them down on my clear storage containers because it actually makes my clear storage containers completely illuminate. And when they illuminate, they kind of put off a nice soft glow as opposed to a bright, harsh light. And so that gives me enough lighting so I can read. And I'll probably spend a little bit of time reading tonight here and then hit the hay early. It's a nice way to spend a Friday morning. Sitting up here at this perch. Looks like I think I'm around 6,000 feet in elevation compared to the rest of the peaks. Overlooking the city of Phoenix out here. I can actually see downtown Phoenix way out there. I'm really glad I'm not there right now. Too much hustle and bustle for me. All the commuter traffic and people scurrying around trying to get to their jobs. While I'm sitting up here in this beautiful saddle with nothing more than a breeze blowing through the tall grasses. I can hear the wind blowing through the needles of the juniper trees. I was noticing over here, there's a juniper tree over here with a lot of juniper berries on it. And there's a number of different healing remedies you can make with juniper berries, from what I understand.
I'm feeling strong enough to bring the world into. Feels like ever since we left this place, young, wild, and ready to make our overdressed another day. All my time has come today. I'm feeling strong enough to bring the world into. Feels like ever since we left this place, young, wild, and ready to make our overdressed another day. All my time has come today.
How great is this? Just a couple hundred yards away from where I was camping, where there were no pine trees, and came across, got on the trail, hiked up the trail just a little bit, and I'm already surrounded by pine. There's black bear up here, there's mountain lion up here, there's bighorn sheep can even roam these areas, a lot of mule deer, a lot of other critters as well. It's a very beautiful wilderness area, and it spans hundreds of miles. It's actually warming up quite nicely. I've got about 3 or 4 layers on. It'll be warm as I hike up into the peaks because I'm exerting myself, of course, but once I get up into the peaks themselves, I'm sure it'll cool off quite a bit. So dress in layers, start warm, strip down. As you get up into the peaks, put more layers back on. You learn a lot about dressing in layers when you live in the desert because there's such extreme temperatures. Oftentimes you can have, 80, 90 degrees during the day, and it can drop down into the 40s or 50s at night. It's pretty incredible. And once you lived in the desert for a while, your blood thins out. So if I were to go up to Canada and spend a little time in the winter up there, I'd have to acclimate. I've been down here in the desert a long time, so my blood's pretty thin. So it's easy to get cold. Well, time to strip down already. Getting a little toasty. So from the trailhead, I took number 130 trail, and it was called Four Peaks Trail. I took that for quite a ways, probably about mile and a half maybe. Awesome views of the Roosevelt Lakes area and the eastern slope of the Four Peaks range. And so I decided to turn around, heading back toward the car, and then there's another trail that actually goes up and crawls across the front, or the west side of the peaks. I'm gonna go back and do that hike as well. Well, on my way back, I actually found a cutoff trail. There was a trail there, and it was actually pretty well marked with rocks on the ground, but the post had no sign on it. There was a post, but it had no sign, and it looked like it was kind of fading away, the trail. But once I cut through the manzanita bushes, I discovered that it opened up quite nicely, and it seems like it might be climbing up the mountain to meet up with that other trail I want to take. So the trail's getting a little sketched, so I thought I'd mark the trail with some cairns. And cairns are basically trail markers that you make with stacking rocks. A lot of people are actually building cairn piles now as a sort of a spiritual balance symbol, but primarily they're for marking trails. So as I said, I got off at trail 130 and started heading straight up the mountain. And I'm pretty sure this is going to connect to the other trail that I wanted to take when I got back to the trailhead anyway, which will lead up to the western slope of the Four Peaks range. Interesting thing to show you here. When I look across, this is looking north, and you can see kind of a cleared off spot right there. That's where I camped last night. That's the horse trailer parking area, and as you can see, it drops down on either east and west slope, so I had a really nice sunset and sunrise. As you can see here, it's just kind of a mishmash of trail run here. When I'm going up a trail, I'll turn around and I'll look backwards and I'll take photographs so that I can make a pretty good estimation. So we're on a pretty big shoulder here, and I could easily come, when I'm on my way back down, if I get off track, could end up going this way. And I will definitely hit my trail back. However, you know, there could be some kind of a drop off or something like that. So what I do is I look at my trail spot, I make a marker, and then I can see that I need to go toward these two peaks on my way back down. Still pretty clear here. I think it's gonna be a beautiful hike all the way up into these peaks. Thank you for whoever was here before me and marked this trail well. Rock piles everywhere. Well, I'm definitely bushwhacking now. Got off the trail, or I lost the line of cairns. And it's okay though. There's only one way to go, and that's up. It's official. I finally got up into the snow belt. The trail's definitely covered in snow, and there's definitely no tracks. So nobody's been on this trail in quite a while, or at least since the snowfall. So over Thanksgiving, my girlfriend Amy got me to run in a 5K, the Fountain Hills Turkey Trot, which is held on Thanksgiving morning in Fountain Hills, Arizona. And that about killed me. She's an avid runner. She runs probably 2 to 5 miles pretty much every other day. She's in great shape. I, on the other hand, am dying out here. I'm doing nothing but climb straight up, trying to get up there to that peak, and I'll be getting there soon. This bushwhacking is actually pretty symbolic to the kind of trip I'm on, where I'm just kind of guessing along the way or using my intuition to decide if I'm going to turn left or right along the trail. And even when I get off the trail, I'm just using my intuition to keep climbing. And every once in a while, I think I'm lost, and then all of a sudden I see another cairn. So this trail's just very overgrown, but it's kind of cool to kind of tie this hiking experience in with my whole philosophy about this particular trip, where I don't know where I'm going next. I'm hiking up here thinking about one of my favorite movies of all time, which is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And I'm thinking about it, one of the scenes in the movie where he's climbing over the Himalayas, and they've got all this cool journaling type graphic stuff laying over the top of the scene, and he's up on this huge ridge, and all of a sudden his phone rings, and he gets a call from this dude over at eHarmony that's been helping him out with his eHarmony account. And one of the things I really think is funny about that scene is he apologizes, says he has to keep things short because he doesn't have that much oxygen, so he can't have a conversation. I'm actually, while I'm on this hike, I'm actually texting with somebody. I'm negotiating a deal on something, and I'm waiting for the e-signature papers to come. So I still have 3G up here and full bars. So more than likely when I get to the top of this mountain, which I'll probably get all the way to the peak if I can, but by the time I need to sign those papers, I've already reviewed them. The time I need to sign those papers, it'll be something I'm signing at probably about 7,000 feet in elevation off the grid in a wilderness area. So pretty crazy. I have to say that for me, the sort of the status of technology right now is perfect for me. I don't want any less technology, and I certainly don't want any more technology. There's a lot of people that are very excited about having new and advanced technologies coming, self-driving cars and all that kind of stuff. And though all of that stuff creates convenience, there's a lot of danger in opting into all that convenience. And I just don't feel like I'm all that interested in going that far into the technological advancements of tomorrow. And I just watched a Glenn Beck show on YouTube where he was interviewing this guy talking about the next 10 years of technology. And a lot of the stuff that he's talking about that's coming, sure, it seems very convenient, but you have to opt into it. And when you opt into things, you just don't know what you're signing and agreeing to. And so for me, I'd be more than happy if my mobile phone just stayed the way it was. The 4K was more than enough for me, and I could just work from anywhere using 4G, and I don't really need 5G. 5G is going to be pretty crazy, pretty amazing, pretty fast, pretty convenient. There's so many new things, leaps forward in technology that are going to come with 5G. But again, I don't necessarily feel like I need to subscribe to 5G, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. But there's a part of me that wants to, figure out a way to be more remote and have a choice. Really, it just comes down to making sure that you have a choice. You want to choose between being connected or not connected. And if you want to be connected sometimes, you should be able to do that. And if you want to be disconnected sometimes, you should be able to do that. And you should be able to set the level of technological advancement that you're engaged with. And there's a lot of people. I watch Sean James over on My Self-Reliance, which is a YouTube channel, and a lot of you probably have heard of him before. If you don't watch his channel, it's a pretty good channel. He's actually got two channels. One of them is him building an off-grid cabin, which is a very tranquil video channel, and much like a lot of my videos where there's segments where it's very tranquil. He doesn't really talk much in that channel like I talk on my channel, but he does have another channel called Sean James, and on that channel he talks a lot more philosophically and talks about business and his life and so forth. I've decided I'm just going to blend the two together, tranquility and sharing knowledge and experience, and put that into one channel and divide up my channel into different playlists that have different shows. So anyhow, I really enjoy watching his channel, and if you're looking for a channel to watch that's very calming, definitely check out My Self-Reliance. And he doesn't know me, I don't know him, and I'm not calling this an endorsement or anything, but I can appreciate when people film quality footage and put it online and share it and allow people to sort of step out of their current emotional experience and into some other experience. So when you come home from work and you're very stressed out about the day, you can sit down and watch something that's very calming. So I'm all about that. Here we are at the saddle. Yikes. Nice. So there's the peaks. There's peak 1, peak 2, peak 3, and you can't see peak 4. It's down behind there. And then you look out here, and out there is, you can't really see it that well, but that is Saguaro Lake right there. And then there's a mountain right there called Mount McDowell, where, or a lot of people call it Red Mountain. And then way the heck out there is downtown Phoenix. And a lot of people who visit Scottsdale will know right there, that's Camelback Mountain. So right about here is where you decide whether or not you're actually going to climb to the top one of the peaks. And it's 12:04. I don't really have anywhere to be. There are a couple of other people that are 3/4 of the way up there. So I might actually just choose to go up there because I know that there's some other people climbing. Sometimes when you go up, I don't have any ropes. I don't think you need ropes to get up there. It doesn't look like they're using any ropes. And I've never climbed this particular peak. This is the northernmost peak. So, like I said, this is either make it or break it. My intuition is telling me to go ahead and climb. I've got plenty of time. I could probably get to the top in about an hour, and then back down here in about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then back down to my car in another hour after that. So I think I'm thinking I'm up here. I might as well climb all the way to the very top. That's what I'm going to do. You want to come along? Cool. All right, well, here we are. Now we just got to climb right up this crevasse right to the top. There's a lot of loose shale here. It's not a very conducive surface to hike yourself up a pretty steep incline, but that's pretty typical. There's always a lot of talus on these mountains. That one was tough on the quads. Boom. Up to the first flat area. Still got to go way the heck up there. Go up that crevasse. Incredible view behind. A couple pretty precarious spots. But we're just about there. Well, I made it to the top. Woot. I had to get a little help on the last little escarpment. I had to get a push up from somebody that was coming up behind me. It was just a little too tall for me to climb up. And thank God, because I was only maybe a couple hundred yards away from the top. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to make it all the way up, but I got up here. Weather's not too bad. It's the tallest point in this area by far. Like I said, we're about 7,500 feet in elevation. And actually, you can see the San Francisco peaks from here covered in snow. See if I can show you that. So I'll see if I can zoom in. I mean, we are a several hour drive, 2 to 3 hour drive from Flagstaff. And I'm on top of the Four Peaks Mountain. And I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but it's hard to focus. But there's San Francisco peaks covered in snow right there. That's Flagstaff. 3 hours of drive north of here. So what a beautiful unplanned day. I had no plans to come up here today. In fact, I had no plans to come up to the top of Four Peaks at all this week. I had talked about it a couple weeks ago in one of my other videos, but here we are, way up high. Pretty nice. See the view behind me. It's Roosevelt Lake back there. So I put away my camera for a little while and decided to just hike down quietly back to the car, and I'm glad I did that because I scared up a couple of mule deer, as you just saw. I was actually pretty surprised that the doe turned around and came back and came right back past the front of me. Got really close. The fawn was a little bit more timid, walked further down the trail to cross over. Pretty cool. Sight for sore eyes. Subaru Outback 3.6R Overland Road Warrior. Bam! My quads are burning. Oh man, whew. Dogs are barking. This is the road I took up last night, but I wasn't able to show you how beautiful the view is up here. That beautiful view. There's Four Peaks up there, looking south. All right, everybody, thanks for following along on the 4Expedition YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed creating it and sharing it with all of you. As you can see, I've gotten back to the main highway. I have a decision to make whether I turn left or I turn right. If you'd like to know where I go next, please be sure to watch for part 2 of this episode. And as always, if you haven't subscribed to 4Expedition, please be sure to do that. If you'd like to be notified of upcoming videos, please be sure to click the notification button. And if you'd like to support 4Expedition, go to patreon.com/4Expedition. We offer lots of great hats, t-shirts, decals for your car, and other great swag that you can buy that go a long way to help creating quality content for this channel. Until the next time, take care.